Weston, you're still here, right?
Still here.
Okay, go for it, Weston.
Welcome everyone to MS Office Hours. It is Thursday, November 21st. Let me please introduce our hosts.
Hello, everybody. My name is Heather Cox.
Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea Singrio, and with us today is Jeffrey, and he's going to be recapping Microsoft Ignite that occurred this week. We are so excited to have you back to do another recap for us. This might be a new regular segment for us with you. Jeffrey, glad to have you back. Show's yours.
Yeah, I legitimately, like Andrea said, I was like, oh, he's going to be here Thursday. Like, I'm just going to wait and get the updates first from him before I try to figure out what to pay attention to. So I cannot wait for this.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let me present then. Get this going. And you'll have to let me know if you can see, when you can see this. All right, thank you so much. Okay, well, Microsoft Ignite. It is a mammoth undertaking, I think, to just even go there and participate, because here's just some of the top things that are happening there. One, there are about 14,000 people in attendance in Chicago. There's over 200,000 virtual attendees. There are obviously keynotes, general sessions, labs, and community sessions. There are over 900 sessions in all, and about 280 plus were recorded. So I can tell you, I've already been diving into it. It's like, what can I watch that's been recorded? Because, you know, none of us have enough time in the day to like follow all these things. And then I will also say, especially working with higher ed institutions, I was amazed at how quickly, you know, things filled up, and a lot of the schools I work with were not able to actually get registered to be on the site. So, you know, thinking of that for next year, I know I'm going to let the schools I work with know as soon as it opens up, because it was just filled up so quickly. So, and again, part of this was, you know, so many things get announced. They were upwards of about 80 products and features that were announced. And, you know, of course, it follows some of the things that we were talking about earlier today. And so let me see if I can move on here. And basically, I would try to like narrow it down into 3 or 4 things. One is, of course, AI and co-pilots, security, devices, which I always kind of like, oh, that's nice. I always like to see when there's something about devices. And then just Azure all up, right? So many things are just amazingly supported by Azure. So those are just kind of the if I were going to say, here are the main things, you know, I know I'm not going to hit everything. And I know I'm not, you know, it's like there are things that I know I want to mention, but I'll forget. But, you know, I would just say, remember to go check the book of news for Ignite. And I have that link at the end of the presentation. But it's just kind of like an endless, you know, kind of a cornucopia of information around Microsoft services and things that people are doing. And I just find it amazing sometimes. All right, so, you know, Satya always gives a great keynote. I really appreciate his ability to present and get across all these ideas. You know, the one that we always know is that, you know, our motto is to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. So I always, you know, take that as an amazing kind of approach, coming from institutions that were always focused on mission statements. The quote that I really liked from his presentation was, the trouble with artificial intelligence is that computers don't give a damn. And then his rejoinder immediately was, but we do. And so I thought that was, you know, something that, again, I love to keep in mind, that, you know, what really makes these things special is, you know, our ability to care about what we want to do, what we want for the people we work with, and the things that they want to achieve. So I really loved hearing that quote. And the things that Satya kind of focused on, again, like there's so many things that went through this, but again, going back to some of the Copilot and AI things, looking at these things as layers, right? I mean, and I say this as, recent history told us that, ChatGPT kind of came out at the end of 2022, and it was this great little web interface, and that's what blew up, right? And so, what we're seeing over the past year is that that's not all there is, right? And especially as end users, it's really not, that's all there is. We've got a lot of other things to look for and use and dive into. And so it's not just, Copilot chat interface, but it's also the devices, the AI stack, all these things that support it and can extend it and make it much more useful than just asking a website a question, right? I will say that it's really hard for me to search the web now without using Copilot. So some of the things that are coming out of Copilots are things that, again, like I'm really happy to see these things like actions, which are kind of like, almost like rules in Exchange or Outlook, where, you can plug things in and get actions done for you, which again takes a lot of the tedium or the things that you were like, oh, I need to check this, but I forgot. Agents, right, that unlock, some of the agents that unlock knowledge for you and for your teams. I think that's been really amazing too, to see it in Microsoft 365. And then again, some of the things that when I talk to people in IT positions, these are the things that they're asking about. It's like, how do we know what this is doing? How do we keep an eye on it? How do we know, what's going on, and how do we understand the security around Copilot? So I think a lot of those things were brought up in the keynotes and a lot of the sessions that, again, were really enlightening and interesting. One interesting word that came up through a lot of these keynotes was agentic, which I always think is, okay, I'm learning some new words. But again, I feel like this is, again, about this notion of Copilot helping us gain agency over all the data and all the applications and all the things we need to do on a day-to-day basis. And one of the best examples, at least for me and some of the customers I work with, is literally agents in SharePoint and seeing how they can now potentially leverage these agents within a SharePoint site to create agents, to have agents focus on things that they want, to exclude from agents, right, if they don't want it. And then some of the use cases within SharePoint where, again, accelerating customer support or onboarding team members, product support, budget planning. I'm sure, again, kind of like earlier in the call today, just coming up with all your best uses that, have come out of using agents. And again, SharePoint, and again, some of the advances in SharePoint, like some of the security features in SharePoint, in addition to these agents, make it so much more of a compelling environment. And then Teams, use Teams every day. Really like a lot of the features, and again came from institutions that were using everything from, Cisco products to Google products to Zoom, and so a lot of these features that we're seeing in Teams are really kind of mind blowing in that they're providing opportunities for us to communicate really at a much broader scale, to have recaps in different languages, to be able to have your own voice be used to speak in a foreign language. So I was very impressed by that. I think, when I saw that in build, there were some really nice demonstrations of this. And again, this is coming forward and it'll be available in 2025. And especially for educational institutions, I just want to let people know that Teams is being adopted. The highest adoption rates are when you say outside of IT and computer software development, is education and healthcare. So we're seeing Teams being used in environments that really have a broad and important impact on our on our neighbors, on our communities, on society at large. So I'm really happy to see these features. Well, the next big set of features were security, and the way it has been described is kind of security from cloud to chip, basically across the whole entire stack. And that is really a great thing to see, showing that Microsoft really is bearing down on security and making sure that it is, such a primary job to increase our own security around data management, the things that we share, knowing how we share that, and protecting all these assets and the communications, and instilling more confidence and trust with each other and with the people we work with. One of the presentations I saw was very impressive around, basically the scope and the different aspects of this kind of security landscape that goes from, again, cloud to hardware. And there is something called Windows Security Book that you can look up and really dig more deeply into this. And following on the security, there was an announcement of the Windows Resiliency Initiative. Again, following in the footsteps of the Secure Futures Initiative at Microsoft, we're really looking at security by design and security by default, and making sure that people know that those devices are secured and they're ready to be used in a great way with things like, multi-factor or Windows Hello, making sure that there's encryption, at rest and in transit, all the things that, we really, know that we need. And it's great that those things are being put in, that are in place, again, by design and by default. Moving on to something that's more kind of like, garden variety kind of needs when you're in an organization is universal print. Saw some very interesting, and very encouraging presentations around universal print. And that is going to be available for Mac OS coming later this year. And, just again, I guess it's probably from a lot of the pain I felt in the past of having to manage multiple print servers, is seeing this as making me feel like, oh, okay, there is a light at the end of the tunnel for things like printing and making it more secure and making it more widely available. And then on to devices. We enjoy seeing what's coming up as far as the devices, and this was announced. It's called Windows 365 Link. It's a very small device that basically boots the OS from the network. It is very inexpensive. It doesn't, it has memory and compute, but basically everything is going to be run across the network. So I know this isn't a groundbreaking idea. If people think back to the days of Sun Computing and other companies, but I was happy to see this as something that is very lightweight, very transportable, something that again helps manage security and consistency for users and also for IT groups that need to support a wide range of users in a wide range of places. Went backwards. And then some of the things that are much really kind of like, kind of out of my depth. Even I love reading about them. I just know that I'm not in a position to like manage a lot of these things, but Azure AI Foundry was announced, and it includes a slew of things to help people develop AI tools, and work through through the plethora of models that are available, that are open, that are everything from commercial models like OpenAI GPT-4o to open source AI models. And I remember, speaking with universities who wanted to do their own fine tuning and trying to figure out how they're going to do it. Now here we have AI Foundry bringing about the ability to do AI model fine tuning much more easily, and know how they can do safety checks for AI. It's integrated with their use of GitHub, and one of the elements that I thought was really impressive was the ability to compare models and experiment with different models within AI Foundry. That I found very impressive, to just be able to compare different models and how they work for you when you're presenting different queries or different forms of information to the model. Hot patching is now part of Windows 11 and Server 2025. So especially for people who are running servers, this should be a nice, a nice respite from the nervousness around needing to patch and reboot your servers. It gives you some breathing room, and there were a lot of announcements around Server 2025. Windows Admin Center, I haven't really delved into, but I know that that's coming soon. And then one of the things that I saw that was impressive was the GPU partitioning, where in virtualized environments, you can share GPU resources among different virtual machines. I thought that was really quite impressive, some of the demos that I saw. And then Azure Local, again, this kind of came to mind for me with some of the universities I speak to who want to keep their investment in their hardware running, but they also want to integrate it into a larger system. And so Azure Local is really, it's part of Azure Arc, but it allows people to treat physical bare metal servers as if they were cloud resources. And one of the demos is really impressive about how easy it is to set up and how easy it is to integrate into Azure Arc. So again, for some of the universities I work with where they have a lot of on-prem things that they want to keep going, but they want to manage it much more centrally, I thought this was a really impressive announcement, and especially the demo felt like, boy, I should try this at home. And then lastly, I'll just say to follow basically the fire hydrant of information and presentations from Ignite. I very much recommend that you look at the Microsoft Ignite Book of News, and just go and look and see what's out there. And remember, there are over 280-ish sessions that have been recorded that you can look at your leisure. So thanks for your time. Thanks for your attention. And I'll turn it back to...
Nope, don't you dare go anywhere, my friend. We have 9 minutes left, and this is your opportunity. Jeffrey was really paying attention and doing a lot of the work for us, so he may have more insights. So are there any questions about anything you have seen at Ignite that we should take a closer look at, or ask Jeffrey to help point us in the right direction? I don't expect him to know every answer of every question. Like he just said, there were 280 something presentations. So, and I don't know who Frank X. Shaw is, but it does sound like an alias to me too. But that's who wrote the foreword. Marge, go ahead, Madam President.
Great summary. Thank you. Is there a session or two that you remember from Ignite that would be helpful for our privacy attorneys who are still concerned about how to best manage Copilot 365 with highly sensitive data that may be in a particular group of ours? Was there and can we even see the sessions if we weren't an attendee?
Yes, absolutely. So first thing, and again, you can register as a virtual attendee. That is free, and that allows you to comb through the schedule and see which, you can search by keyword or kind of by day or, technology. So that is totally possible. Again, I don't know exactly how long those recorded sessions are going to be available. So, but I don't think we would totally have to rush, but yes. And I would say the things to look for are, one, sessions around Purview, sessions around preparing your data for Copilot 365, and what that does is go through a lot of the concerns around security and privacy and how those can be addressed. And again, back to one of the first slides was kind of the controls now being put in place around Copilot for administrators really helps with that. I work with academic medical centers, and this is top of mind, and they really want to know how do we deal with privacy and security, especially around HIPAA data and PII. So all those things are really top of mind, and it's out there. I will say, because I work with universities, the agreements that they have already include like coverage of FERPA and HIPAA data. But again, there's a ton of good documentation within Microsoft Learn, but there are also good sessions around, again, preparing your data for Copilot.
Thank you very much.
Big question from Steve, and I think this question actually was asked last time you were here, Jeffrey.
Oh.
What is your headset?
Oh, you know what? You're gonna find this like crazy, but I know I said the wrong headset the last time, and it's been bugging me. It's totally been bugging me. Give me 1 second. It is a Logitech H820E. I'm actually looking at my settings to give you that because I felt guilty about saying the wrong thing last time.
Well, maybe that was the issue.
Yes.
For Steve. All right. What other questions, friends, do we have? I also dropped in the SFI initiative at Microsoft. Might be another place where you find a lot of information around the security pieces as well.
Yep.
The quiet crowd.
I will drop the link of the book of news in there. Okay.
Perfect.
Get to it. And I will say, someone already beat me to it? No?
Nope. But I just saw that Renee, hope I'm saying that correctly with the right accent, has a question for us.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you. This is Renee Enriquez. I'm at the University of Houston, but specifically, I'm with the College of Optometry. So I like that you mentioned you work with AMCs, and I've been in talks with other folks, other potential partners. But I'd like to maybe set up I don't know if we could have any follow-up conversation with yourself, Jeffrey, maybe at the beginning of the year sometime, just introductory to hear out, but specifically around data, privacy, and security, as you mentioned. But everything HIPAA and all of that fun stuff, so I'd like to have a conversation with you.
Absolutely.
Don't know how to get in contact with you at some point.
I'm gonna put my email right in the chat. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, if there aren't any other questions, Heather and I, as always, are so grateful to have you join us week after week. I dropped a little bit further up in the chat the December lineup. As we've mentioned before, we are scheduled through the end of the year. So we've got accessibility coming up December 5th, and then new Outlook. I think I'm most excited. I've been embracing new Outlook for a year plus now because the calendar gives you 4 time zones, and that's like crucial to me living in California, supporting all 4 time zones. So that's the only reason I made the switch, but I'm excited to hear what they have to say and share with us some tips and tricks for using new Outlook for the things that it does. And then my dear friends Patrick and Andre are going to come and talk about Copilot agents and building them yourselves right from within Copilot, so not having to go to Copilot Studio. So really excited to have all of them coming up there. And then, Jose, I didn't release the January schedule yet, so maybe that will be our opening session. I'm sure Heather would love to do that as our opening.
I'm like, I will have like an off-cycle, session. There was a gal who did a full presentation for her boyfriend. She put the PowerPoint slides she used on Etsy. I'll download them, I'll personalize them, and I'm happy. Anyone who would like a half an hour presentation because you don't understand the value that is, T Swift, I'm here for you. I will offer that service free of charge. That's just because I'm just so kind like that. So you know what? I'll be there.
Vince, I don't know, but I will copy your question. Not to get away from T Swift, but I caught the question. Can New Outlook handle shared mailboxes yet? I don't know that question, but I'm going to drop it in our chat with that team and ask for sure. Okay, now back to T Swift.
No, I'm good for now. But you know, if anybody needs me, we'll get that hooked up. But thank you. We are off next week because it is Thanksgiving. We are thankful, as we say, hopefully we say it enough. We are so thankful for this community. We love you. We love that you show up. We love the support you give us and each other. So please keep doing that. Yeah, so enjoy your time away if you get some, but at least enjoy some good food next week. And we will see you soon. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.